Hey everyone, welcome back to New Slang. I'm music journalist Thomas Mooney. This is episode 141, where I'm joined by the Panhandlers, that's singer-songwriters Josh Abbott, John Baumann, William Clark Green, and Cleto Cordero of Flatland Cavalry. I hope you all had a mighty fine Thanksgiving yesterday, which I kept debating with myself on when to release this episode. Basically all of last week I was on Team Stay the Course. You release episodes on Mondays and Thursdays, stay true to form, and release it on Thursday, even if it is Thanksgiving. But as you can tell, Team just released it on Friday, eventually won out. At the end of the day, I kind of figured that if you were going to listen to this episode, you'd wind up listening to it on Friday anyways. Anyway, like I said, this one right here is with the Panhandlers. We recorded it about a month back in a Billy Bob's green room. And I totally will admit I was a little rattled because of the situation. It was really the first podcast I had done in person since March. And of course, I'm setting up 5 microphones and there's a little bit of a time crunch and you just you get the picture. Anyway, I was fortunate enough to hang out with everyone way back last year down in Lockhart when they were cutting part of the album. It was really seeing that process from the inside out. I think what's most interesting about being a wallflower in these type of moments is obviously you're kind of seeing how the sausage is made. But specifically, I would like to focus on these 2 distinct things happening. 2 things that are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. One, you're privy to seeing the quote unquote magical moments being captured. The spontaneity of a moment. The raw emotion of a performance. That magic can form and come out in a multitude of ways. And then 2, you kind of see the practical functions of recording an album, finishing a song, and just trying to create a mood or a feel, or just figuring out how to wrap things together. It's not all goosebump inducing moments. It can't be that. And when you're recording an album, much like anything in life, these little small problems are going to pop up that just need to be addressed. And here is where all that experience in the room comes into play. I know you're thinking I'm going off on a tangent, but I think that's such an interesting part of creating music and creating art. It's that part magic and part being practical. You're not able to utilize one without the other. And seeing some of that Panhandler debut album get recorded was really great. Seeing the organic nature come into blossom is a part of that magic, and it cuts right to the core of what makes this album really genuine. Right now it's really in vogue to sing and write about being from West Texas. It's almost as popular as it is to poke fun of West Texas, or really to go that polar opposite and try to explain why something isn't actually authentic West Texan, or trying to explain someone's motives on why they're trying to cash in or something. I find a lot of that talk to be extremely foolish and naive. It often comes from an elitist aspect, or someone from not even around here trying to explain West Texas to West Texans. And I find that funny, and there's, a little bit of irony in there. This Panhandlers record, though, it captures a slice of West Texas. And I think that's really important to understand and embrace. Josh and Will and Cleto and John, they weren't looking to write the end-all be-all West Texas Panhandle, all that stuff I was just talking about record. It does capture a slice of West Texas. Just a slice, though. It's just a slice of the Panhandle, the South Plains, the Llano Estacado, the Trans-Pecos, and so on. I mean, how could you in 10 songs just wrap up all the nuance of a place? And again, I think that goes all to what the intentions of Josh, Will, John, and Cleto were, to capture these little moments, these vignettes of West Texas. Then of course, you do get a bigger, better, and more vivid picture of what West Texas is when you start adding all the solo catalogs of Green, Abbott, Baumann, and Cordero. That almost sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? Anyway, I think you'll get more pieces of that puzzle once they start releasing more Panhandlers records. At any rate, we talk about some of those puzzle pieces here that they've carved out. Rolling in from the hills of eastern Tennessee is Hot Damn Coffee, a down-home company that roasts single-origin, high-quality coffees from around the world. I am proud to be working with the fine, hard-working folks over at Hot Damn Coffee. Their year-round roasts come from certified farms in Nicaragua, Ethiopia, and Tanzania. Hot Damn Coffee sent me over some samples the other day, and they've just been making each morning that much better. As a writer, there's nothing quite like taking a coffee break and having that anticipation of that first sip of a robust, fragrant, and strong but smooth cup of coffee. Somehow that first sip kind of just shakes all the frustration out of you. You come back energized and more focused on the task at hand. Check out the Hot Damn website at hotdamn.coffee. Note that that's at .coffee and not .com. There, you can find more info on the variety of different coffees they offer, who they are, and learn how to brew the best damn coffee. While there, head on over to the Hot Damn Coffee Club. Their subscription club gives you preferred pricing, first access to new roasts, and delivers coffee to your door every month. Now, this is important. New Slang listeners can get 20% off their first month subscription by entering SLANG in all caps in the coupon code box during checkout. I'll of course throw all the info and links into the show notes, but again, that's hotdamn.coffee and SLANG in all caps for 20% off your order. Start your Hot Damn subscription today. Today's presenting sponsor is Desert Door Texas Soto. If you know anything about me, it's probably that I'm from the heart of West Texas and absolutely love everything about West Texas. And that's really why I love Desert Door so much. You may be asking yourself what exactly Soto is. Well, it's a premium spirit that's similar to a tequila or a mezcal, but for my money, it's a little bit more refined and smooth. There's a sweetness and faint hints of vanilla and citrus, and it's also as versatile as your garden variety vodka. At its core, Desert Door is authentically West Texas. They go out and harvest Soto plants from the wild and bring them back to their distillery over in Driftwood, Texas. So next time you're at your local liquor store, get a bottle of Desert Door. For more info, check this episode's show notes. All right, if this is your first time listening to New Slang, please hit that subscribe button. For more info on our Patreon and our merch store, check the show notes. And yeah, let's just get on to the episode. Here is John Baumann, Cleto Cordero, Josh Abbott, and William Clark Green. Yeah. So I'm assuming this was not like the plan going in. One show for one record for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess like it's so weird doing these in person again all of a sudden. Let's just kind of take it back to the beginning here with Panhandle music, Panhandlers. Obviously, this is like so inspired and influenced by all the ones from before, the Terry Allens and the Flatlanders. But was there like also like any kind of contemporary folks who were that you kind of were considering as a panhandler as well to inspire this collaboration and everything?
I think all of our careers inspired Josh, John, and Cleto's. I mean, I feel like that's most contemporary. That's about as contemporary as it gets, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I would say when I wrote "This Is My Life," I did it. I kind of quickly figured out it sounded like a Jerry Jeff Walker song, so that's kind of how I treated it. But I would say the majority of the record, I just felt it just came naturally, inherently through that influential process that, in a domino effect kind of impacted each one of us along the way. I mean, John has sung about Terry Allen and the Flatlanders in his songs, and we all come from that region. And so I thought there was something really cool. In fact, to be honest, Cleto and John, when they were writing their parts for the record, I just kept thinking like, man, I feel like they just literally are related to Butch Hancock, and Jimmy Dale Gilmore. Like their vibe is just completely Flatlanders, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, well, I think what's really interesting about all this too is like how you guys are. You kind of have a different perspective on the Panhandle. Obviously, like Josh, you're from Idalou. Baumann, you're born in Amarillo, but you moved out, Cleto over here from Midland, and then you came to
From
Lubbock
East Texas.
for school. I mean, but I think that adds all these different kind of perspectives on the same place. Do you guys agree? Did you guys think about?
I mean, Lubbock for me is where I learned how to play music. Really, that's where it started at College Station playing guitar, but songwriters, that was all Lubbock. I mean, that was my career started, and was born there, and that for me, it's just that's all I knew musically was Lubbock music.
I remember I was in Lubbock one weekend. I was like 19 years old. I was visiting a girl there, and Will was living next door to this young lady, and I remember her telling me there's a singer-songwriter that lives next door, and I think he came over and drank a few beers and played some music. And this is like the first time I've been to Lubbock as 19, 20 years old, adult, I guess. Hung out with him, and then the next day we went to a Tech football game, and lo and behold, holy shit, there's Will and his band playing a big stage, Raider.
Yeah, we played all night long that night with a bottle of whiskey, I think.
It was just so crazy to see somebody you didn't know, but you felt like you knew him in a weird way, and to see him working the next day. And that's where I realized how many careers start up there and how fascinating it is.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about when driving up here was, obviously this project was so organic in nature as far as the writing. It came kind of quickly, you guys had planned on doing, some covers originally, and then kind of morphed into all these new songs. And of course you guys kind of cover a lot of ground within that, as far as, oil field and cotton and farming. And was there anything else that you guys feel like you wanted to check off the box this next time around, that you guys have been contemplating about?
For the next record?
Yeah, that you just kind of were thinking we need we should have a song about.
For sure.
Insert.
I mean, I think we all still want to continue to tell some of these stories. We wrote a bluegrass song that wasn't quite finished, so it didn't make the first record, and it's about this. I mean, do we give it away? No. Gladys says no, don't. But it's a really funny story of this farmer in the Panhandle, and then we wrote a really cool song called "Where Cotton Is King," which is super cool, and it definitely kind of pays ode to the grit and the grind behind the men and women out there in the fields. But I know for me personally, when we were talking about making the next record, which we have been kind of loosely, I'd love for a couple songs to be more of a reflection of something that people from the Panhandle in West Texas do, but isn't necessarily geographically isolated and specific. So, vacationing in New Mexico. If we have a song about a place in New Mexico, that's not the Panhandle, but that part of New Mexico, Santa Fe and Ruidoso and all that, those are huge vacation destination spots for a lot of people out in West Texas. So I think it fits the vibe.
And a cultural influence on Lubbock, for sure. I mean, Lubbock has a lot of New Mexico influence in it.
For sure. So I don't know anything other than that. That's kind of what I wanted to have a couple songs on the record.
I feel like, too, we could do, as long as it's kind of like folk music, whatever styling, if you want to do bluegrass, front porch music, back porch music. I'm just I think if it has its roots in just simplicity and stuff, not overproduced. I don't feel like this album was produced over the top or nothing. It's very organic feeling. I feel like if I don't know. That's what I kind of liked about the project too. It just let us kind of think creatively in a different, outside of your normal box, with your band and stuff. And whenever, for the next album, when we get to doing that, put a bluegrass song on there, or if you're thinking Eastern Texas or starting to be swampy. I mean, you could do some acoustic blues or something. I mean, I think, I don't know.
Maybe even a cover.
Yeah.
We had talked about doing covers on the first
That's what the record was supposed to be, yeah.
We didn't end up doing one except for the Charlie Stout tune, which was kind of more unreleased to the public. So I think it'd be super cool to do a couple covers at some point.
I like the Panhandlers on Tropical Vacation.
That would be You know it's
Actually not
fun
that
now.
song. West Texas boy out of place somewhere on the beach.
Do we
Just
have
totally
budget?
out of place.
Do we have budget for that photo shoot?
He's got a terrible farmer's tent. It's like blinding.
Can we go to the Bahamas or something?
That'd be hilarious.
Belize. That's where we should
That's-
go.
that's
That's very
good.
West Texas destination.
This episode is in part brought to you by the Blue Light Live here in Lubbock, Texas. There is a way to help A, support Blue Light, and B, get a sense of that normalcy by visiting bluelightlubbock.com, clicking on the merch tab, and getting some koozies, a vast array of t-shirts and caps, and yes, even a Blue Light flag. While it is such a bummer that live music is still on hold right now, I'm telling you, by getting some Blue Light Live merch, you're going to feel better. It just feels better wearing a t-shirt and ball cap and helping support your favorite bar. Again, that's bluelightlubbock.com. Click on the merch tab, get some merch. All right, back to the episode.
Jerry Jeff had a house down there on Ambergris Cay.
I've got a Jerry Jeff Walker story that I'll share later in a second after. It's not even really a story. It's more of a note. That's such a as far as like this year goes, these last couple of weeks, and obviously throughout this entire year has been pretty rough, but as far as Texas songwriters go, just these last 10 days have been pretty awful as far as like, you know, these Billy Joe Shaver and Jerry Jeff Walker passing. And what are those kind of guys? You guys want to, you have any stories about those folks that you'd like to share?
I've got a story about Billy Joe that was not my story, but I'll never forget when I was first starting out. Seth James was telling this story on I think it was a TXRDR. I was on with him, or I can't remember, this interview maybe somewhere, but he was telling me how big of a fan he was of Billy Joe, and he went to Hastings and College Station, and back then Hastings you had to see release parties. I mean, you'd show up.
It was a big deal.
You'd sign. They'd line out the door and they'd sign records, and so Billy Joe was releasing records at Hastings. I think it was in College Station, and Seth James was a younger kid at the time, and he shows up to meet his hero, and he's in the parking lot kind of waiting because there's no line or anything, and he's like 30 minutes early, and he said all of a sudden this van pulls up, rolling smoke, out the back, and not from weed or anything, just from exhaust. This junky van comes hauling ass in the parking lot, slams on the brakes, gets out. He's running a little bit late, and him just thinking like, this hero of mine, lives. This is what I have to look forward to, but that's what Billy Joe was. He was a road dog, and he didn't care about any of the BS, and he just wrote songs. And I thought, and I think that was a lot of guys who start out have these kind of delusions of grandeur, and I think that Billy Joe he just chased a song, and that was a priority for him, and the other stuff, just didn't matter. And I think that was a cool wake up call for him, knowing that, it's not these. It's not what you see is not what you get in this business. And I think that was an opening light. It was a cool story for me to hear at that point in my career, when I was first starting out.
When I first started out, so we put our band together early 2006. We started playing Blue Light. So it kind of became like the house band, kind of the staple college band that everybody was coming to watch up there on Tuesdays or Wednesdays whenever we'd play. And I don't remember if it was towards the end of 2006 or like 2007, but it was somewhere in there. We were supposed to play. Well, then Blue Light got a call, and it was like, hey, Billy Joe Shaver. And then we're kind of touring through, and their agent called and said, see if we could give them the gig. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, of course. Like, we'll open. Cool. So I think I opened even acoustic. We opened for Billy Joe. His band, then get up there. He was so cool. I didn't think he would even care or know who I was. He calls me up on stage, asks me to sing a song, and says, what song you want to sing? And, of course, now you got to be ready as a young songwriter, because if you get up there with someone and they go, what song you want to sing, and you don't know any of their songs, you look like a dick. So I said, that's what she said last night. And his eyes lit up. Yes. Turns around, cues the band. We play That's What She Said Last Night. It was awesome. I was on this like cloud 9, cloud 10 level of being like, I'm in grad school. Tomorrow morning I have class, but right now I'm kicking some ass, you know?
Billy Joe Shaver.
That was one thing I noticed whenever he died. His Facebook was flooded with people with photos with him, you know? I mean, more than any other songwriter I've seen past. And just it's a true testament of who he was and how generous he was with his time with his fans. Yeah.
Personable.
I mean, everybody had a photo with him. And I thought that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's I interviewed him probably like 2012 or so, and you know, talking to him about it was such an interesting, as far as like how he was both like had like an ego about himself about I've written these fucking songs, but also like very egoless, like just I was put on earth to write songs, and if I don't write songs, I'm like doing a disservice to myself, and I'm doing a disservice to God and like everyone around me. And it like that was like such a it does go back to like what you were saying, Will, about like so often you kind of build up the romanticism of this lifestyle, and whenever you see somebody who's just doing it because of the music, because of the craft, like it's just kind of eye-opening for a lot of people, and like it you realize like who's doing it for the right reasons, if you will.
I mean, it's like Guy Clark said, cold dog soup and rainbow pie, baby.
I always love that quote, do you want to be an artist or a star? Who is that? Is that Crowell? You know that one?
That's a good one.
I love that quote. You know, it's just...
I used to want to be a star. I think now I just want to be an artist. Seriously. When I first started out, I was like, I want to be as big as I can be.
I just
and now
want to
I'm
have
like,
some...
I really just want to write my songs and do creative stuff.
Fridge full of groceries, yeah.
I got a quote from Charlie Stout. He said, well, Cletus, a lot of rock stars in this bar, but no talent.
That's a good one. You mentioned Jerry Jeff. I don't really have a great story, but I was living in downtown Austin 4 or 5 years ago, and I was eating at this little oyster bar just not far from my little condo, and Django Walker, I see him walk in, and I was like, hey, what's up? So we start talking. He goes, hey, have you ever met my dad? And I go, no, actually I haven't. I've seen him in concert, but never met him. He's like, come out here, dude. I want you to meet him. So I walk outside. They're eating on the patio. Introduce myself. Sitting with him is Jimmy Buffett. So I literally meet Jerry Jeff and Jimmy Buffett at the same time. It was so cool. But I was that guy because they're halfway in their burger. You know, they're having to chew their food just to say hello. I felt like such an asshole.
That's a tough spot.
I made it real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously you want a picture in that moment, but you don't ask for it. I just was like, it's super nice to meet you guys. Have a great day. And
that's
walked
cool
away.
As hell.
It was a funny moment.
It's funny. I love Buffett, and Buffett really started out as, I don't know if I'd want to call him a Texas songwriter because I'm not sure he's a Texas guy, but like,
I think Colorado, is he not?
I'm not real sure, but probably, you probably know more than I do, but like him and Jerry Jeff were pals before the whole island thing started happening, and it's like people give him a bad rap for being Mr. Island guy, but deep down, like, he's a hell of a songwriter. He's got some badass songs.
Well, I think he was a big fan of the Texas guys. I mean, there was that one guy that wrote Volcano.
And then he'd build a boat by Guy Clark. He covered that song on his record, which he did a great job. Is he Warren Buffett's nephew? He's not.
No.
I've heard he is, and he's not. He says he's not.
Well, I heard you're Pat Green's brother. So.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I think if I was, I'd be a little further along.
Rolling in from the hills of eastern Tennessee is Hot Damn Coffee, a down-home company that roasts single-origin, high-quality coffees from around the world. I am proud to be working with the fine, hard-working folks over at Hot Damn Coffee. Their year-round roasts come from certified farms in Nicaragua, Ethiopia, and Tanzania. Hot Damn Coffee sent me over some samples the other day, and they've just been making each morning that much better. As a writer, there's nothing quite like taking a coffee break and having that anticipation of that first sip of a robust, fragrant, and strong but smooth cup of coffee. Somehow that first sip kind of just shakes all the frustration out of you. You come back energized and more focused on the task at hand. Check out the Hot Damn website at hotdamn.coffee. Note that that's at .coffee and not .com. There, you can find more info on the variety of different coffees they offer, who they are, and learn how to brew the best damn coffee. While there, head on over to the Hot Damn Coffee Club. Their subscription club gives you preferred pricing, first access to new roasts, and delivers coffee to your door every month. Now, this is important. New Slang listeners can get 20% off their first month subscription by entering slang in all caps in the coupon code box during checkout. I'll, of course, throw all the info and links into the show notes, but again, that's hotdamn.coffee and slang in all caps for 20% off your order. Start your Hot Damn subscription today. What's interesting, too, about Jerry Jeff is this interesting thing where, you know, he wrote Mr. Bojangles, and that's like 68. And people, I think of him more as a entertainer than as a songwriter or as a song, I guess, like, obviously he covered a bunch of people like Guy Clark, and he
was great at finding songs that no one had heard.
Yes.
And making them
His
like,
A&R
like,
ear was incredible. I mean, he was recording Gary P. Nunn and Rusty Weir and all those guys.
But what's really interesting about that, I think, is that all those guys were really largely inspired by Mr. Bojangles originally, because that came out in like 68. And that is like such it kind of is one of those songs that helped boost up the folk kind of like gonzo bohemian kind of folk music scene. And all those guys who were from Lubbock, or like Bob Livingston and all those guys of Los Gonzo, they're all like Panhandle guys too. Gary P. Nunn. And I think that's such an interesting exchange between like influencing those guys and then like taking those songs that were inspired, who like helped get those guys to start writing their own music and then like covering them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's such I don't know if a lot of people have talked about that, but I think that's an interesting aspect of what he was able to contribute to Texas.
What I always thought was interesting is that he was from New York.
Yeah.
But I was watching that same video you were talking about Seth James, and that's Billy Joe Shaver. But I was watching another one on Jerry Jeff, and it said he was from New York. And I always thought, when I first heard that song, Mr. Bojangles, I always thought that it was very Bob Dylan-ish. Yeah. Like, very much so when I caught my ear. But like you said, he's known more for honky tonk and stuff, but he knew how to rap, you know.
It's really bizarre, like talking to, like Pat was devastated the other day. I talked to him about, he called about something, and he was still in tears over Jerry Jeff. And, I mean, he lived on his couch. And, you know, he said back when he was living on his couch, like he was huge. And it's funny talking to guys like Pat, because when Pat was coming up, those guys were doing what, you know, we're doing now. And he's like Joe Ely, he's like doing the same thing you're doing now. He's like, same places, same crowds, like it's exactly what you were doing. And it's weird because I never knew that. I saw Jerry Jeff when I was in high school, but he was far along in his career. He was fairly older, you know, but I just remember seeing all these damn hippies. And in College Station, Texas, at Wolfgang Creek Amphitheater, which you don't, back when I was in high school, you didn't see hippies in College Station. It wasn't something you saw. And so it was weird seeing the whole hippie and rednecks coming together like Willie did. And Jerry Jeff was a huge part of that too. And it's interesting seeing Pat, you know, going through that, you know, of what I saw in Pat, you know, but was his guy was Jerry Jeff. And apparently he was just a really nice guy to songwriters and wouldn't mind letting them crash on their couch. And it's cool.
I think the lineage and the cycles of this whole, I don't want to call it an industry, I don't want to call it a movement, but just the fact that there's generational torch passing or this or that, but there's like waves of it and they just come. It's so fascinating to me just to hear that like a guy like Joe Ely was hoofing it at one point. You know, I know there was the Clash record and like everything, but it's so awesome to know that this will go on for as long as an asteroid doesn't not take us all out, which could happen any minute. It's amazing. This will go on forever, and to be, I don't know, but even what we're doing here is a cool thing for this generation, the generation before, the next generation down. But that's one of the most special things to me about Texas-rooted songwriter music. You know.
Agreed.
Yeah. Also, I think like people kind of think of Jerry Jeff as, in a way, like being kind of like that one-trick pony, getting that like one great song, Mr. Bojangles, and then kind of having fun doing a lot of the honky-tonk stuff, covering a lot of great songs. But he also like later in his career kind of was, you know, he went into some jazz stuff, and like he's gotten like some of those, like, have you guys heard like the Chris Wall covers, you know, like he's the one who did like Trashy Women, like the Confederate Railroad song. He did that like before them, and
He did
I think
before them?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then like, you know, some like Tom Russell and stuff like that. I think that's just an interesting thing where he's kind of like this octopus of like having just different arms going into these different kind of songwriters and scenes. And
Well, that's what Josh said. He had an incredible ear for songs that he thought needed to be heard, and they probably never would have been heard if it wasn't for him, honestly. I mean, some of my favorite songs by him that he's done of other people's that I still don't even know who the original songwriters are on it, but, you know, they never would have heard them, you know.
Yeah.
Probably never were recorded. You may have heard them around a campfire and say, hey, man, that's a great song. I want to cut that, you know.
yeah, I think that's, for me, I know I didn't listen to, that's the first time I heard Guy Clark was listening through the lens of Jerry Jeff Walker, hearing LA Freeway and kind of like being, okay, I got to play this 100 more times in a row right now because this is the most amazing thing. Obviously, let's talk about like the blue light. Let's talk about like some of those, I guess the culture that's happening in Lubbock. I think that it's really interesting to see how like a lot of this is happening in real time. Like you can see a lot of these people coming up to Songwriter Night now who are like, the reason why they come to Lubbock is because of y'all. I know like Cleto here has even mentioned how like one of the reasons why he felt like Lubbock was the place to go was because of like that. Can you guys expand a little bit on that?
Well, I was thinking about it this morning on the drive up here. Very much how, like, it's very crazy that, one, that you asked me to be a part of this band and I get to play with all you guys because I looked up to all you guys before I ever met you. Like, I heard Josh's album when I was a senior in high school, and then I discovered Will and then Baumann. And I just heard these great stories about this place 2 hours north. You could chase a dream and go to a real college, you know, and there was a, you know, like go to college, and there's just this place called the Blue Light that'll let you play. It was Monday nights. That's all I ever heard about, Songwriter Night. And I'd heard you talk about Wade and Pat and all this whole lineage and stuff. And it's, that bar, I can honestly say, without Blue Light, I know for certain our band wouldn't have hit or taken off or anything. And the Red Dirt Rebel, and
Yeah, same.
it's just it had everything for an aspiring artist or musician to. You have people to listen to your songs, a bunch of college kids just like you. You have a place that'll let you show up every Monday and try to write a song. And before that, it's like you said, the same thing happens over and over, you know. Before Pat Green, there was like Waylon Jennings and Buddy Holly and all those people, and it's crazy, man. But like that picture right there.
Yeah, look at that.
But
Buddy and Waylon and Tommy Alsop. It's pretty cool. Probably playing at the Cotton Club.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Cleto he asked me for a picture. I think we still have the picture. But that's the coolest thing is watching guys come up that, and you know, we got through, and Cleto, when he sees this now, that the road can be so, it's just crazy. And it can take so much out of you. And you meet these young kids with Cleto, and you see this like sparkle in their eye of the wanting to know and the excitement, and you're so worn out, you know. But it kind of gives you a pump up because they think what you're doing is the coolest thing ever, and you're just like, Jesus, I want to go home.
beat it, kid.
But yeah, I saw that in Dalton too, and I saw that batch, you know, come through Blue Light, and I know John for a long time, and I mean, shoot, whenever. I mean, that was kind of, your career kind of came, it was bizarre because I never thought, you know, I always knew he loved songwriting and did that, and then it came out the record, and then it was like 3 or 4 years before your second record, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't really tour that first record, did you?
No, I didn't know how to plug what an XLR cable was or quarter inch. I didn't know
and then
anything.
he started, you know, boom, taking it seriously and just, I mean, and then now he's one of my favorite songwriters in the scene. I mean, I'd say him and Randall are I just don't think, I love your song. Randall's just so good. I just don't see how he's just not famous. But that's just me.
I think he's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to be like huge.
He has to be. He's too good.
Yeah. Like he's just what's interesting too is like obviously what I kind of go back to is seeing like the trio of, I say trio, but I mean like you and Randall and Dalton and like Benton and like kind of like you guys being young and like obviously a lot of naivety about the entire thing, like just like the piss and vinegar in all three of y'all or four of y'all, and then like having Uncle Charlie Stout in the back kind of going, you know, I don't know, just
Do better.
Now listen here, Cleto.
I had a lot of lunches with Charlie Stout at Chu Chai that
You'll never get that time back.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. There's probably a lot of things you probably didn't want to hear. Some good advice, some bad advice.
yeah.
But yeah, all the good, bad, and ugly though.
Yeah.
As cliche and cheesy as it is, like I wouldn't trade it for anything because, like I said, to be here with you guys, I really do mean that. Like it's when you sit there and actually think about it, like you said, the road can be grueling and wear you down and wear down your faculties and stuff, and you just want to go to sleep sometimes. But then when you sit there and you get to think about it and appreciate it, you're like, man, this is so fucking cool. Like,
How much have you accomplished?
how many
Such a
people
short
have you
amount of
met? How many amazing songs have you heard that no one else has heard? You get to meet people that you looked at. You just heard them. The only way I know you is through fucking your songs, like West Texas Vernacular, High Plains Alchemy.
Yeah.
I thrashed that shit, dude. I wore that shit out in my truck, and I was a junior in college, and I just to get here and play music with you, and and you too, man. I mean, it really is.
It's special.
It's full circle, man.
Yeah.
But
It's a fun group.
What I remember is getting a John Baumann CD in the mail, just like randomly, and being like, "Who is this guy? This, mustache going John Edward
that's such a
Baumann."
great picture.
And
Your mother's worst nightmare.
God, this career is a mother's.
You ain't wrong.
She quit paying attention a long time ago. I just don't want to know.
but putting that record on or that CD, that EP on, and being like, "Oh, he's writing about stuff that's out here." That's always like I think that's such a big thing for young artists to hear is like people writing songs about where they're from, because it means like you're not just from anywhere, you're from a place. And I don't know, I think like you guys you guys understand that.
I think that this project, I think was the main goal, at least in my head, was to pay. Lubbock gets no respect or rep for being a songwriting city. You always hear about Austin this, Austin that. And I'm not dogging
Better
Austin,
PR.
I kind of am, but nobody. I mean, the people in Lubbock, the whole community surrounds these young songwriters, and they really boost their careers, and they put them on the radio, and they really genuinely help. And there's an ear for it, and you got to get the West Texas stare, and you got to get through some things, But that community is just an incredible baking oven for young songwriters, and this is great about this project is it amplifies what's going on there in that city, and that's what's awesome to me.
Lubbock and Blue Light were the first place I ever felt like accepted, and the first few shows I played there, I dragged some pretty sorry bands, and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. That took a while to figure out, but still felt appreciated, and that was pretty special. Because I can remember playing Austin Saxon Pub and people just walking out, and it was like, if I have to drive 6 hours to play a gig and feel appreciated, hell, I'll do it as much as I can,
Yeah. I was thinking of a song for you guys. Need a high school football song.
Okay.
I think that's a good
Probably not
idea.
a bad
I think
idea.
that's a damn good idea.
We need a what? High school what?
High school football.
Kind of
song.
a Friday Night Live story song, like
Yeah, like 2A kind of.
I like it.
I do too.
Let's do that.
There's good imagery there.
Yeah, I guess every record can't be about oil and cotton.
Yeah. When we talked last week about his new record, Josh's, I felt like maybe
My
I lost
favorite
you there for a second.
Josh Abbott
but
band
you're all
record.
like I had mentioned how like that the end song, the final song on that record, about the old men in the rain. I mentioned how like in Fort Stockton, like during football season, a group of old men would always meet up at McDonald's. They had they would be played on the radio, and they would pick every high school football game, like in West Texas. I don't know where they were getting lines at or anything like that, but it was like Yeah, man. You guys are like,
Dude,
I don't know what y'all are.
The old guys meeting at McDonald's before a game and just putting money down on like the Pampa Tigers. You know, they're going
That's
up
the
against
song.
the Dumas Wildcats. You know, like that's
the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mooney.
Well,
Small town McDonald's.
You're not getting songwriting credit.
Yeah, dude. No credit.
in the room. Yeah, I know. Let's go ahead and just cut it off right here because I mean, you guys are busy here. It's been great talking with you. Hopefully this show is going to be not a train wreck, right?
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Have
be
you ever seen
wreck.
a train wreck?
Oh,
I know this
just kidding.
much. Are we still recording?
Yeah, I'm recording still, but like,
I would say this is the most fun I've had.
Yeah.
This is the most fun I've had. I mean, and I don't mean that in any disrespectful way to my career up to now or any of my band members, because, God, we have had some fun. But there's been a very different vibe with this project, band, group, whatever you want to call it, because
boy band.
Our careers don't depend on it. Right? When you're writing your songs for your own album and you're trying to worry about like marketing and you're trying to worry about like how many people are going to come to your shows and who you're going to open for and play with, it's stressful. And for this whole thing was like, dude, we're just friends. We literally wrote an album together. We put our friends on the album, and now we're going to play live shows with all of these guys. And there's no pressure. I don't give a shit how many people are here tonight. And I don't mean that in a rude way. It could be 50 people, 500, or 2,000. I don't care. I know that tonight is going to be fun.
This is my life, and these are my friends.
That's right.
I'm on the complete opposite of that. I have the most anxiety about these shows. I do not want to be.
I'm with Will. I'm having a great time with that.
I'm just like, my shows. I'm like, not a care in the world. My band's got it, and if I mess up, it's on me. But this one's like, when you let everybody down if you mess up, and it's like, the weight for me is just like,
Nah, we'll be good, man. We're all pumped.
well,
Thanks for the interview, buddy.
yeah, well, thanks.
Thanks, man.
All right, that is it for this one. Be sure to check out the Panhandlers' debut record if you haven't just quite yet. Check out our presenting partners over at Hot Damn Coffee, Desert Door, and the Blue Light Live here in Lubbock, Texas. And yeah, I'll see you all next week for more new slang.